Welcome back to a new edition of the Spring Sports Newscast. My name is Charlie Sample.
And I'm Zach Blanke.
But before we get into our games today, we want to look at the new head coach signings for Missouri Western men's and women's basketball, starting with the men's. Missouri Western recently hired Brooks McCowan as the new head coach, the 7th coach in Missouri Western history. He served 12 seasons at Upper Iowa University and with a career record of 209-148. Andy Carter said in the Missouri Western announcement, "Having watched Brooks coach while we were both in the NSIC, there was something about the way his teams played which caught my attention. He is a winner, and his teams play with such energy and toughness." He also took Upper Iowa to 3 NCAA tournament appearances, and his teams averaged 80 points a game. Brooks McCowan, welcome to Missouri Western. We're happy to have you, and I'm ready to start covering some more men's basketball with a new coach. I'm pretty excited.
Oh, for sure. I think it's exciting. You know, they averaged 80 points a game, so I think you're going to see some high-scoring games coming to Missouri Western.
Yeah, and also 12 seasons. I mean, we were bringing a veteran coach in. Will Martin did a great job, and he left a legacy behind. So I kind of want to see what McCowan brings to the game with losing 8 seniors.
I'm also kind of interested to see who's he going to bring with him. We lost 8 seniors, so he's going to have to do some recruiting, and it's going to be interesting to see who he brings in.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, he wasn't the only one that was hired. The women's team also hired a new head coach. Luke Scheidecker is now named the new head coach of the women's basketball team. He is now the 11th head coach in history and served as the head coach for Wabash Valley College from 2016 to 2018, and then he came back in 2020 and served till 2025. His career record was 231-22, including a 31-3 record in the 2024-2025 season. In the Missouri Western announcement, athletic director Andy Carter said, "Luke is an outstanding recruiter and head coach with lots of basketball experience. His ties to the region, his success speak for themselves." I mean, look at what he did. He had a 90% win percentage.
I mean, that's incredible. He's bringing in a lot of wins going onto that column, so I think that's going to be good, especially what the women's basketball team has done in this last season. You know, like you said, we're losing Feldhouse, who had a 20-10 record in our first season, but like you said, we're bringing in a winning coach, and I think that's a good point.
Yeah, it's going to also be interesting to see who he brings in as well, because he might be bringing some of his own players that helped him bring success to the program.
Yeah, for sure. Well, looking onto it now, we're looking back onto our games. We're going to start with women's lacrosse, who played Dominican. Women's lacrosse played Dominican, California on March 31st. The game came down to the wire, but sophomore attacker Julian Lane scored at the 1-second mark in the fourth quarter. Sam Pruitt and Cajun Gilreath both had 4 goals in this matchup, again continuing that back-and-forth battle they have been having all season. As it currently stands, Gilreath is the current goal leader with 33, with Sam Pruitt behind her with 27. But Sam Pruitt is the current point leader, as she has 18 assists to back her 27 goals, giving her a total of 45 points. And now, as the season is coming closer to the end, now for the rest of the matchups in the regular season for Missouri Western Lacrosse is going to be conference play, the JLVC Great Lakes Valley Conference. It's going to be pretty entertaining, that conference. I did some research. They have some nice competitors, including teams ranked in the country who have had a tough schedule all year. So starting off with Quincy coming soon, that's going to be pretty entertaining. Yeah,
you know, they have 7 games left on the season. They're about halfway through their season. It's going to be a tough stretch down the end, especially their last game, but it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, they like to keep it close. They like to keep it competitive. That's what I've noticed. Yeah. And one of Coach Berg's thing, seeing some interviews and talking with her myself, they like to be aggressive, but sometimes they can be too aggressive. We've seen a couple games where they've had 30-plus fouls or less than that, but it's a lot of fouls that they're committing. And in this last game, they only served 11, so they're controlling that aggressiveness enough, but they're just not being able to just win. They're, like I said, keeping it close. I mean, scoring at the last second to win the game. Buzzer beater in lacrosse, you know, that's pretty impressive for them. But they just got to learn to get that offensive going without causing too many penalties.
Yeah, and you look at it, they lost to a very good team. They've lost 1 game all year.
Yeah.
You don't see that. So they played tough against one of the better teams they're going to play all year. So it's very promising going forward.
For sure.
Well, let's go ahead and look at some golf action that took place. The men's golf team finished 12th out of 18th in the Tiger Classic. They will now play in the Firekeeper Open, which will be April 7th and the 8th. Then they will play in the MIAA tournament April 21st through the 23rd.
Well, following up with that, women's golf will play in the NSIC Preview. They won 5th of 13th in that one, and then their next matchup will be in the Spring Regional Preview from April 7th to April 8th. Following that, the MIAA tournament will begin for them April 13th through April 15th. So matchups are coming close to the end in golf, so we're excited to see how they compete in those bigger competitions.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and look at softball. We're doing something a little different this week. Our own Marie Sepp and Laura Tafali went out and covered 2 matchups. Let's go ahead and look at Marie Sepp's first package.
The Missouri Western State softball team swept the New Manchettes at home on Friday, March 28th, winning the first game of the day 9-1 and the second one with a game-ending thriller 6-5. Game 1, Griffons had a strong third and fourth inning as they scored 8 runs during those 2 frames. Sydney Rader, recently named to the D2 Pitcher of the Year watch list, through a complete game victory, striking out 6, walking 2, and allowing just 1 run and 3 hits. Game 2, the Griffons struggled early as the Jets scored 2 in the first and 3 in the fourth. Missouri Western finally got on the board in the 5th with a run from Mackenzie Devine. Trailing 1-5 in the 7th, the Griffons staged an exciting comeback, scoring 4 runs to tie it. Raiders shut down Newman in the 8th, and a walk-off sacrifice fly gave Missouri Western a thrilling 6-5 victory. Head coach Thompson said that getting a sweep felt good. They have been struggling to make a complete day of things.
How do we make a complete day from the beginning of first pitch of game 1 to the very last bit of however it takes? And that's what I told him. That was my speech at the beginning of the day. It doesn't matter if it was 5 innings today or 21. We needed to be the team at the end on top, and we were.
The Griffons will take on number 6 in the nation and first place UCO in the MIAA conference on Saturday, March 29th.
Well, following right after the double sweep in the doubleheader against Newman, they would also face MIAA opponent in a doubleheader and number 6 team in the country, Central Oklahoma. Our very own Laura Tafali was there to cover that for us.
Missouri Western softball faced number 6 Central Oklahoma in a tough doubleheader, falling 2-1 in the first game and 5-0 in the second one. The Griffons played 2 solid games but were unable to capitalize down the stretch, as head coach Nicole Thompson said after the end of the games.
They're the number 1 team in the conference, and we knew it was going to be a battle coming into the game. And I thought the first game we executed our game plan pretty well, and we just didn't come up with a clutch hit, and they did. And so never going to question this group's fight. They have it. They know they can beat any team that we set foot with. But
UCO took an early lead, but Sidney Young tied the game with a solo run. In the 6th, UCO scored the winning run with an infield single. The Griffons couldn't complete a comeback in the last inning, losing the first game 2-1. In the second game, Missouri Western pitched the ball well, keeping UCO scoreless for the first 6 innings. But in the 7th, after a walk to start the inning, UCO took control, scoring all 5 of their runs. Despite a late push, the Griffons couldn't recover and the game ended 5-0. Despite the result, the Griffons never gave up, and they are now looking forward to the next games.
we knew that coming in here if we put the pressure on them, and so I'm really proud about that. I mean, we didn't lay down, we gave them a fight, we made them work for every little bit of it, and so I think that's something we can build off of going into next week.
The Griffons will be back in action this Friday, heading to Missouri Southern for a doubleheader with the games set for 2 and 4 p.m.
Thank you, Laura and Marie, for that amazing coverage. Since then, the softball team has played Drury in a doubleheader. As you can see, they split here, winning the first game 6-3 and losing the second 4-5. Softball now sits at a 20-15 record overall, with a 7-7 record in conference.
Yeah, and softball, one thing I've been noticing a lot from this year is they like to split the series.
Yep.
The first team is very strong behind that pitcher, Sydney Rader. I mean, she's had an incredible season. Recently got to witness that Drury game where, tying her season-high strikeouts of 13, or maybe beating it. I'm not sure there. Don't quote me on that.
Yep.
But 13 strikeouts all in all is pretty good against Drury. But, yeah, splitting the series has been something they've been good at this year. I want to see more sweeps.
Yeah, like you said, they've really been great in that first game, and in the second game, it's just a little bit of a drop-off that you really just don't want to see.
But the fact that it's a good thing you mentioned that, but it's great that they're able to compete against these teams that are ranked in the country. They're ranked high, top 10 teams that were playing in the country, and we're able to even win some of the games against them. And I think that leaves us a pretty good mark where we're going to be for the MIAA tournament. Yeah,
it'll be exciting to see. Like you said, they've played some of the best teams and have been competing with them. So they can compete with anybody, obviously. So down the stretch, hopefully they can just build momentum and stay consistent like they've been hoping to do all year.
For sure. And sticking on the same line of things, baseball recently on April Fool's, and no, this is not an April Fool's joke, folks, but Carson Shear walk-off RBI single to end the game against Emporia State. So now baseball, 3 wins in a row, 5 wins of their last 6. That's pretty incredible. They're now picking up the pace late in the season, and that's what we needed to see into this last hump of the season for baseball.
Yeah, they're getting hot at the right time. At the beginning they had a very rough start, but now they're starting to pick it up, starting to build a little bit, and that's what they need, especially when you're getting closer and closer to conference play.
Yeah, and like you said, the conference play. I mean, you're winning conference games.
Yeah.
So that's going to help you later on if you make the seeding in the tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we covered baseball here. Let's go ahead and look at Kansas City and look at what the Royals were up to this week. They got off to a good start in the series against the Brewers with an 11-1 win. Jonathan India with 3 hits and 2 RBIs, and Salvador Perez hit his first home run of the season in this game as well. Unfortunately, though, that was as good as it gets, as they dropped the second game 0-5 and then the third game 2-3. They start a 3-game skid against the Baltimore Orioles tonight at 6:40 p.m.
Yeah, not the way you want to start the season. Guardians in the first series, Brewers in the second. And like I said, baseball has so many games.
Yep.
So, it really wins and losses for me this early on, it doesn't mean a whole lot. I think once you get to that late season in baseball, that's when it starts to matter, as we just talked about with Missouri Western baseball. I think the same applies for this too. So we can't count anything out. It was a great game, though. We saw some great power from that 11-1 win against the Brewers, though.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like with any sport. The beginning of the season does not matter as much. This is not the same team you're going to see come playoff time. So right now, you're still trying to figure out your identity a little bit and just see who are going to be your players going down the stretch.
Oh, for sure. Well, sticking with the spring season, we're going to look at March Madness in the Final Four, starting with the women's. Women's March Madness has now begun down to the Final Four. Texas versus South Carolina playing soon, and then to get there, Texas had to beat TCU, ending HVL there, 58-47. South Carolina beat Duke 54-40. That next matchup, UCLA versus UConn, who's only the last remaining seed there with the second seed. UCLA to get there beat LSU 72-65, and UConn beat USC 78-64. Texas and South Carolina will be playing at 6 p.m. tonight, and the second game, UConn versus UCLA, will start at 8:30 p.m. in Tampa, Florida. I like this Final Four. Like I just said, lowest seed is the second. With UConn. So I think I agree with you. You made the right choice last episode last week. I talked about UConn and what Paige has been doing over there. So I think we ride with UConn, to be honest.
I'd say she kind of made me look like a genius a little bit. She played outstanding, and so has the whole team. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see her versus Juju Watkins, when they played USC, but it was still a great game. UConn pulled ahead there in the second half, and I'm still going to pick UConn. I'm going to pick the team with the best player and all that experience that they have.
Yeah, I think it's good. A second seed versus all three number one seeds. So it's like they're kind of like the underdogs, really, in this. If you look at seeding wise, but I really don't think they are. I think they have a chance to go on and win it all. But the reigning champs are still in. South Carolina, Texas is looking threatening. UCLA obviously has multiple different weapons on the court. So this is really anyone's ball game, and I'm excited to watch it. Yeah,
it's been really fun so far. I think it'll be interesting to see. I could see any of these four teams winning. I really could. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to have UConn, South Carolina, and like I said, I'm going to go with the best player in the tournament.
That's good.
Well, we looked at women's. Let's go ahead and look at the men's Final Four. As you can see, the Final Four is set, and that will start tomorrow. But let's first see the Elite Eight and how these teams got there. Florida beat Texas Tech 84-79 in a comeback victory, and they'll face off against Auburn, who beat Michigan State 70-64. Duke defeats Alabama 85-65 and will go up against Houston, who defeated Tennessee 69-50. Matchups will start tomorrow, April 5th, and the first game is Florida versus Auburn at 5 o'clock, and Houston and Duke around 8 p.m. Both games will be decided in San Antonio, Texas. It's, same thing. We both picked Florida to win this thing, and it was scary. I really thought Texas Tech was going to win this game. They controlled most of this game, but Florida pulled it out. And Duke wins despite Flagg not playing his best game, and they blew out Alabama. And then Houston made it look easy against Tennessee as well.
Yeah, like I said last week, I said the SEC is winning no matter what. It's kind of funny that I said that, and I said Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama, and I say that, and then Tennessee and Alabama both get kicked out as soon as I say that. So it might have been a little curse on my part. That's on me. But my champions, go Florida, little Gator chomp for you guys. Walter Clayton Jr., I love him, man. And going against Auburn, that's a tough one. It's going to be a fun one. Johnny Broome taking over the league. As he has been, but I think everyone, for me at least, what I want to see, and I think you guys at home will agree, Florida and Duke, Cooper Flagg versus Walter Clayton Jr., I mean, that's feeding families, folks.
You mentioned Johnny Broome, he was a little banged up, and it didn't look like he was going to come back in the game. And then he came back, they won the game. It'll be interesting to see if, with this week off, if he's back and healthy. That'll be, to me, the deciding factor in that game. If he's his normal self, I think Auburn could pull off the win, but I've been talking about Duke, and it's the same thing. I picked Florida at the first, but I'm starting to lean Duke. I'm going to lean with the team that has the best player in the tournament, and that's Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick. Like I said, I'd love to see Florida and Duke play. I am a little worried about Auburn. I think for me, when I'm making my bracket, I did count Auburn out of this one, unfortunately, just because I didn't like their late postseason push. They just kind of didn't look like they lost in overtime to Mark Sears and, just a buzzer beater from him. I mean, losing to Bama and then losing in that SEC tournament, I was like, I don't really trust Auburn to make it as far as they have. And I guess I ate my own words there, as they're now facing the team that I want to win in the Final Four. So it'll be a fun one to watch. But like you said, Cooper Flagg, also a pretty dangerous person out there.
And I don't think people were giving Houston the credit they deserve. I mean, they've kind of just gone through this tournament they had a scary one against Purdue. They won at the very last second, but they just steamrolled Tennessee. It wasn't close from the beginning. They just went out of the gates and took the game. So that'll be good, too. I don't think Duke just has a shoe-in to get into this final. I could see any of these 4 teams winning it.
Oh, yeah. All 4 number 1 seeds. And, man, we got some action-packed for you guys this weekend. Well, with that being said, that is all we have for you this time on the Spring Sports Newscast. My name is Charlie Sample.
And I'm Zach Blanke.
And we'll be seeing you guys next time.